Hello and welcome to the February 17th edition of Speedway Digest Thursday Night Thunder, the most hardcore motorsports program on the internet. This is episode 228 of the series. I'm your host, Adam Jason Sinclair, and on tonight's program, we'll be talking about IMSA racing, as well as chatting about whatever other motorsports topics come into the conversation. Are you a race car driver, crew chief, pit member, track owner? Maybe you're just a huge fan of the sport. Contact us to get your spot on the show. After all, you deserve your 50 minutes of fame, and we'd love to hear from you. Unfortunately, our co-host Michael had a late doctor's appointment this evening and won't be joining us. She is planning on being here next week, however. It's a rather busy night in motorsports, I realize that, and I'm sure that we're not going to have quite the big audience we have normally for this time slot because people are watching the Duel from Daytona, which is on the air right now. I can give you an update, but I have to look at Twitter, and honestly, I don't have the window open right now. But we're going to go ahead and have a nice short and sweet program tonight. Talk a little bit about IMSA, talk a little bit about the Daytona Rolex 24, and talk a little bit about the 12 hours of Sebring. Should be a very good show. We're going to have a great guest on tonight. We were originally trying to have another guest on as well to talk about the races, the Virginie Delacroix. She was supposed to be on tonight, but she had other business to attend to as she is currently working on a film project, a couple different film projects, which we're going to go ahead and cover. We have covered on Speedway Digest in the past. We talked a little bit about the original one, the one about the Le Mans race, Become Who You Are. And unfortunately, she wasn't able to come on tonight, but we will talk to her a little bit more after Sebring. So it'll be good to have Virginia on the program once again. She's interested in as everybody else is, and we're looking forward to it. Our first guest this evening is Vickie Miller, the super fan of Penn's numerous races this season, and is considered by some to be the godmother of the paddock. I have come to think of her as a friend over the past several years, and am happy to welcome her back to the show tonight. We're pleased to welcome Vickie Miller to the program.
Hey, how are you doing?
Hello, pretty good. How are you?
I'm doing good.
That's
doing
awesome.
Great. Thanks for having me.
Can you tell us first off, can you let us know a little bit more about your background? What was the first race you ever attended?
The first race I ever attended was a NASCAR race. It was Memorial Day weekend, 1998, and it was at Charlotte. So it was when they had the Busch League and then the Winston Cup. So it was the Busch race, actually, that I attended, and I kind of got hooked on racing ever since.
That's cool. Who's your favorite for the Daytona 500 this weekend, since you bring up the NASCAR a little bit?
Well, you know what? I tell you what, this is so odd. I like a lot of drivers, but when I watch NASCAR now, I know a lot of drivers by their last name, but I know their dads. It's like now I'm watching the sons. I'm so old that now I'm watching the sons drive. But it's so cool. I know he didn't qualify very high, but it's cool to see Greg Biffle back. So, I always like Greg Biffle. I don't know if he really has a chance or not, but I was so glad to see him back. So I'm going to pull for him. What the heck? Oh,
there you go.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit more about the Rolex 24. This year was the first one to feel normal in a couple of years. How do you feel the event went overall?
I think it went good, and I agree with you. It felt a little more normal. That was still, since I think it was like rainy one day and cold, I think that kind of kept some of the drivers in their haulers and in their garages more. But I think it went great. I was glad to see such a big crowd. I think there were a lot of people there. I thought maybe it would still keep people away because of COVID and stuff, but it was actually very wonderful to see so many people there. I really enjoyed it, except for the cold, obviously. But yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Did you think there were any surprises during the race?
I don't know about surprises, but it was good to see like Memo Gidley race. Good to see him back. Good to see like Robert Orkins race. As far as like surprises, I tell you the thing that surprises me overall is it's a 24-hour race, and you would think on paper there would be the winning car would be like 4 laps ahead in 24 hours, but it always comes down to a nail-biting last lap, which is wonderful, but you think, wow, we've been going at this 24 hours, and it still comes down to the last seconds, the last lap, the last bump, whether it be the Porsches that bumped at the end. It still is amazing to me that, it can go for 24 hours and still come down to the last lap to see who's going to win. So I don't know if you really call it a surprise, but it was nice to see, like I said, Wickens back in the car and some of the drivers.
Many people feel that this year's race was the coldest 24-hour race in quite some time. How did you manage to survive the frigid temperatures?
Well, yes, it was cold. I managed by staying in my friend's RV and venturing out as little as possible and having an electric blanket on me with a space heater. I did venture out quite a few times. I didn't go as far. Normally, I start out at the grandstands, the horseshoe, like work my way down the grandstands down to turn 6. But this time, it was just too cold. So I ended up, the grandstands were packed at the start of the race, and that made me a little nervous. I wore a mask. I know I saw you there with a mask too, as well. So I kind of stayed away from the beginning of the race, but I ventured back out later on, and then I pretty much overnight huddled under my friend had a TV inside the RV that we could watch the race, which I felt a little guilty. I'm like, I'm sitting right here to race in an RV, and the cars are like right outside. I can hear them, but I'm still huddled under an electric blanket. I thought, if my friends back in Ohio could see me now, they'd be like, what are you doing? You used to live in Ohio where it's freezing all the time, But I guess I've converted into a Florida girl because it was really cold. It was really something else. How about you? You and your dad, I think, were out there in the grandstands for a good bit of the time.
We were, but we didn't stay that long into the night. We stayed there. The first day we were there until about 8:00, and we took about an hour and a half break to go to dinner there to get out of the cold.
Okay.
We were there till about 8:00 at night, and then after 8, it got right about 40 degrees. That was when it was time to go. And so then we came back the next morning a little after 9, and we're there till almost 1. And then that was about it. We had beat the traffic and now the track and had to start coming home. But it was a pretty good race. It was awesome to be there. So it's great.
Yes,
I wish it had been about 10 or 15 degrees warm. That would have been a lot better.
Yeah, me too. I agree.
Yeah. Hopefully Sebring is comfortable. I know that sometimes in March it gets a little chilly there as well, and sometimes it rains. But hopefully it's comfy there next month.
Yeah, I hope so.
Mm-hmm. How do you feel about the new LMDH/GTP cars that are going to be coming to the series next year?
I tell you what, over the years, I started out Grand Am as pure DP. And ever since then, so many things have changed, whether it be DPIs or this model or that model. To me personally, I like to see the series evolving. And with evolving, any kind of class, whether it be the hybrids or what it might be, that bring in manufacturers, the more the merrier, in my opinion. If Audi wants to come back and Porsche with their fancy car, they've been putting all over Twitter, and I think they were at Barcelona testing. As long as the car, it brings in manufacturers, it provides more car. Maybe the field will get stronger and have more cards filled for more driver opportunities. And I'm concerned about safety. Are the cars, as they evolve, are they safer than they were before? Other than that, I'm glad to see any kind of improvements whatsoever. So I'm glad to see them coming. I'm glad, like Porsche's coming back, and I'm glad to see that happen and evolve. So I'm good with it. I'm good with all of it. So I welcome it. I think it'll be wonderful.
You brought up the Porsche a few times there. I had the opportunity to talk to Tom Moore of Dark Horse Autosport, who doesn't work for Porsche in North America, and he's really looking forward to the Porsches next season. He's hoping that they actually have a really robust customer program to sell the LMDHs to various teams this coming year. He thinks that'll be a great thing for the sport. I think it will too.
Now, I totally agree. Now, I'm probably wrong on this, but isn't Dane Cameron and Felipe Nasser, they're the two of the drivers already slated for that car or not?
For Penske for next season. Yep, that's who they've leaked so far. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, good. Because I remember Felipe Nasser, his first Rolex He was the Sunoco used to have a driver that they sponsored, and he was with Shank. Oh my gosh, I don't even know how many years ago that was. I remember he showed up in his all white fire suit, and it wasn't white for very long. And that's when his first time. I probably have some old pictures of him talking with Oz Negre, talking about the setup and stuff. And I've watched him grow over the years, and so actually Dane Cameron too. I remember when he was with Mazda with who was that? Not Shoemaker. Who was the team that owned the Subway franchises that raced the Mazdas that Dane Cameron was with?
Oh yeah, I don't remember the name of
Wanamaker? No, I'll have to go back. Oh yeah, that was years ago. But anyway, I've watched both of them grow up over this series, and I'm happy for what a wonderful opportunity that will be for them.
It should be good. What are you most looking forward to at the Sebring 12 hours next month?
You know, only one thing. WEC. Come on back. Come on back. I can't wait. I can't wait for them to come back. I'm so looking forward to that. I love to see those cars over here at Sebring and go around the track. It'll be awesome.
It should be. It'll be pretty cool to see how they go around and compare the times with the other series. I'm sure that's what IMSA is going to be looking at, especially with the more of the convergence type thing next year. I'm sure they'll be really looking at the times and seeing how everything competes and how it goes.
Oh, definitely. Yes. Yes.
What do you think of the fact that IndyCar is scheduled to race in conflict with the Sebring event, causing several drivers who originally slated to compete in Sebring to miss out?
Well, isn't that just the weirdest thing ever? I tell you what, I don't understand it. I don't. Has Texas said, why they had to have it that weekend? I mean, I guess I didn't realize until I think Racer posted it, that Ryan Hunter-Reay, he's going to be in one of the cars. I didn't even realize he was in IndyCar this year until I saw that, or he's taken over for Scott Dixon, I think, right?
That's it, yep.
Yeah, Scott Dixon. So I guess in a way it'll give some drivers an opportunity, a seat that they may not have had, but I can't believe. Now, Elio, I think, is not, he's going to do Indy, so he won't be in the Shank car. But I haven't heard, have you heard, is Jimmy Johnson committed full-time one or the other? Is he going to go back and forth?
Yeah.
I haven't heard.
Jimmy Johnson's committed. He's committed full-time to IndyCar. They announced the, what's the guy's name? Jose whatever is be covering the race in Sebring.
Oh, okay. Okay, gotcha. Okay. Yeah, I don't understand. I mean, Sebring has been that weekend for years, so it's not like IndyCar can say, "Oh, we were surprised it was going to be that weekend," So I don't understand the thinking behind it. I feel sorry for some of the drivers that wanted to do both, like an Elio and Scott Dixon and so forth. But I think it's a shame. I really think it's a shame.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like it's a very well thought out thing. That's happened a few times in the past several years, and especially here in Florida, it seems like every time they've got one race, they've got two others in the state, and some of them are ones that you'd want to. Right. You can't go to those. You can't be everywhere at once, and just it isn't really fair to the fans, and for this thing, it's definitely not fair for the competitors either.
Right. Definitely. I agree.
And my final question for tonight for you: what team do you think we want to beat in IMSA in 2022?
Well, I always cheer for Shank, so I'm going to cheer for him. But it's going to be it's always difficult to beat Wayne Taylor Racing. I think I think they're always on top of it, and I think it's going to be very difficult to beat that team. But of course, I always cheer for Shank. Now we know it'll be another 10 years for him to win the Rolex again. So I guess he's on this 10-year pace. But I think Wayne Taylor Racing is going to be the one to watch for the season.
Well, I look forward to seeing you in Sebring in a few weeks now, and hopefully it's a great year for racing. It seems like it got off to a pretty good start.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, I'll be there. Cheering on the teams and watching for WEC to be there. It'll be great. It'll be fantastic.
Thank you again for coming on the show tonight, and have a great night.
Okay, thank you. You too. Take care.
Once again, that was Vickie Miller. We thank her very much for having the time of her schedule to join us tonight and look forward to seeing her again at the track soon. Now, as I stated tonight, the Duel at Daytona is taking place there at Daytona National Speedway. It's a two-part qualifying race to set the field for the Daytona 500. They have 20 cars in each different segment. It doesn't set the pole or the second place car. Those were set during qualifying yesterday. As were some of the other positions there, people are locked into the race. But this generally sets the position for everybody who's going to be how they start the race, pretty much from third back. It is kind of an interesting way of doing things. It's a traditional way, although the timing has changed for it. Some of the format has changed a little bit, but it is one of the only races that they have where they actually race to set the field, and it's a pretty cool way of doing things. Hopefully, you get a chance to watch the second part, and you're DVRing the first part, or you watch most of the first part, and you watch the end after this program is over. As I stated, we're going to have a great season here on Speedway Digest Thursday Night Thunder. I've got a lot of awesome people lined up to talk to in the next few weeks. Let's go ahead and give you a small preview of who's going to be on the show soon. Now, let's go ahead and click that, and let's see who we've got. We're going to have a guy from. We might have an opportunity to talk to Matt Colleague of the Colleague Racing. His people contacted me, so we're going to go ahead and try to do that. We're going to have some people from Cool Racing, the sponsor for Andretti Autosport, who's been on the program before. We're going to get to talk to them shortly. I did reached out to them about that, and they reached out to me as well, so that's pretty cool. We'll get a chance to talk to someone from there. We're going to go ahead and talk to someone from the Southern Computer Warehouse, which has a partnership with NASCAR. NASCAR has recently announced that the Southern Computer Warehouse has become an official technology value-add reseller of NASCAR in a multi-year partnership. And we're going to be talking to the head of the Southern Computer Warehouse about how it came about doing that, and the sponsorship that's involved in that. We're also going to have a chance to probably talk to someone again from Napa, which will be interesting. We're trying to develop a relationship with Napa Auto Parts. Got some interesting things going on behind the scenes there, trying to get information about not only their racing program, but some of their other stuff that's going on in the domestic sector, the private sector. They do just roll out a wall box charger that's going to be sold there at Napa. That was one of the major sponsors of the Super Bowl. You may have seen that. Everybody seems to have a good charger for electronic vehicles now, and the wall box charger will be selling at Napa soon. We're going to go ahead and talk to Derek Griffith, who races in the late model series at New Smyrna Speedway. He's also racing a bunch of different races. We'll talk to him a little bit more about that, about the World Series of Asphalt next week. That'll be pretty awesome to talk to him next week. We're also going to be talking to Kevin Bryla, who's one of the guys from Spot On. That's his sponsor. You can read information. Excuse me. You read information about how Spot On is sponsoring multiple-time champion Derek Griffith. Read that on SpeedwayDigest.com in the racing news section. It'll give you a little bit more information about how Spot On is partnering with him and other businesses this season, and we'll go ahead and talk to them next week as well. Should be a great show. We're talking to them next week. I'm looking forward to it. As I stated, if you're a team owner or fan of the sport, crew member, maybe even track owner, please give me a call. Contact me via email is the easiest way, and we'll go ahead and get you on the show, because we're always looking for some amazing people to talk to on this program. So be sure to contact me. The easiest way to find my information is by going to SpeedwayDigest.com, looking down at the bottom in the racing news section, and clicking on my name. It's Adam Sinclair. It should be one of the bylines. You'll just have to look a few articles down, or maybe you'll see it right on the main page. It depends on how my day is going. So be sure to check that out. Contact me. Let me know if you'd be interested in being on the program. We are constantly getting bombarded by people who are interested in coming on the show. We're reaching out every so often to other people, seeing how we can get a little bit more exposure for this program and see who's interested in coming on. Heck, we even reached out to Brexton Bush, 6-year-old Brexton Bush, who recently had his sponsor announcement with ServPro. I believe that was yesterday when that was filed. That's part of Media Day there in Daytona. So it'll be kind of interesting to talk to Brexton Bush. I don't know if that's going to come through. I'm kind of hoping it does. I reached out to his sponsor, reached out to his PR people, and we'll see how that goes. We have had other up-and-coming young racers on this program, some of whom who've gone on to really amazing things in the past several years. So it's always cool to talk to people beginning their career. One of them, of course, Tristan Nunez, who we talked to when he was in his late teens. Now he's in his 20s, and he's getting married, and he's got new opportunities with Wayland Racing. So that's awesome. And he did fairly well in the Rolex 24, but it's always cool to talk to somebody at the beginning of their career, see how their career goes, and see how it blossoms. Vickie was talking a little bit about Robert Wickens. We had a chance in the past to talk to Gabby Chavez, who's one of Wickens' teammates. Chavez, of course, the former IndyCar driver. We had a chance to talk to him on this program a couple of years ago. He's always a pretty cool person to talk to. We did run to Pato O'Ward, who won the P3, not P3, we won the P2 division there in the Rolex 24. We had a chance to talk to Pato O'Ward briefly before the race. He was a multi-time guest on this program. One time we actually had him live on pit road, which was pretty cool to have that perspective as well. So we always try to have a unique perspective for our racers and our guests, trying to give you, the listeners, a bigger glimpse into how racing goes in the modern world of motorsports. As I said, we're going to keep tonight's show a little bit short and sweet there. I did give you a preview of what we got lined up. We have lots of awesome guests lined up, especially for next week. It should be a great show. As I stated, we're hoping to have Michael Mullally Capallo back on the show. She did have a little bit of a medical necessity this afternoon. It's not a big deal. She'll talk about that a little bit next week if she wants to, and be a good thing for her and for her family, her growing family there. So be sure to check that out. Next week, we'll be back here, same time next week. Now, what I'm planning on doing more than likely, we'll be back next week. We will not be here on the 3rd, I do not believe. Now, I haven't decided if we're going to cancel the show on the 3rd or if we're going to go ahead and do it. Because I am traveling, I'm going to be back on the morning of the 3rd, and I think it'll probably be okay. I'm actually going to be a little bit more time to work on a script and stuff for the show on March 3rd. So we'll go ahead and tentatively keep that on the schedule, although it will be a little bit of an abbreviated program, just like tonight, actually, as of right now, anyway. But we are planning on having a guest here on the 3rd. We've got some good guests coming up on the 10th as well, so be sure to check that out. Should be a pretty good deal, and we'll see how that goes. Be sure to check out past episodes of Thursday Night Thunder, as well as the other shows on the Speedway Digest Radio Network at speedwaydigest.podbean.com. We have just signed up for another year of coverage here on the Podbean Network, so be sure to that will be our home, at least for the next season. Be sure to check out speedwaydigest.podbean.com. You can also check out the show on Facebook by searching for Speedway Digest Thursday Night Thunder, or simply by going to facebook.com/SD Thursday Night Thunder. I try to keep that site updated with information about our weekly shows, as well as some other informational tidbits about the world of racing, what's going on, what's happening, and where I'm headed. My next racing adventure will probably be in a few weeks. I'm thinking it'll be the 12th there, and I'm thinking that will be in the Gator Nationals. I do have to reach out once again to the NHRA and make sure that that's all set. As of right now, it is, but I never count all my chickens until they're actually sitting there in my yard. So we'll go ahead and see how that goes. That is my next planned race, and the weekend after that, we will also be going to another event. We're going to Sebring, in fact, on the weekend after that. That'll be the 18th and 19th, so that'll be awesome. So currently the 12th and 13th, we'll be heading up to Gainesville. The 18th and 19th of March, we'll be heading to Sebring. As everybody knows, this weekend is the Daytona 500. I originally had a little bit of an inkling to go there to Daytona for the race, but I've done enough Daytona 500s recently to know what the race is like, although it is always an option in the future, and I did have some great leads to get out there. Actually had an invitation to go to Media Day this year, which would have been awesome, but just didn't work out timing-wise here this season. However, we are able to reach out to more people in NASCAR, and I'm always grateful for more contacts through the motorsports community, and everybody who wants to be on this program wants to be highlighted in SpeedwayDigest.com. That's always awesome, too. Let's go ahead and throw out a shout-out here to DirecTV, the DirecTV streaming site. DirecTV Streaming is now offering a free 5-day trial of their service for DirecTV Stream. which is in perfect timing for the Daytona 500. So be sure to check out DirecTV site. Check out their packages. They do have a free 5-day deal there. If you don't cancel within those 5 days, of course, you are billed for the first month. You're billed at a prorated rate, I think, when they take off those 5 days. And that is roughly $70 a month. But they have a full slate of programming there. It's in full HD quality. And so it's an easy way for people who've quote unquote cut the cord there to keep in touch with the world of racing and other things. Their big thing, of course, is Daytona 500 this weekend. They've got full coverage of that on DirecTV and DirecTV streaming service. So be sure to check that out if you're a DirecTV fan. If you're just looking for a way to expand your online streaming, be sure to check that out. I am actually trying to check that out now, but I'm waiting. We're hoping to do possibly a little bit of a partnership deal with DirecTV. We'll do a weekly shows to watch type thing. We highlight that both here at SpeedwayDigest.com as well as on the Speedway Digest Thursday Night Thunder program, and possibly even on my For Borplum's Fantastic Finds site. Speaking of that, if you're a fan of South Florida and who isn't, be sure to check out the latest news and information about our slice of paradise at my blog site, For Borplum's Fantastic Finds. It can be found on Facebook at For Borplum's Fantastic Finds, Twitter, it's either at For Borplums, FABORPLUMBS, which is also where I post a lot of the NASCAR and other racing stories, IMSA and that link. Or you can find it at PB Happening. That's at PBHAPPENING. That's generally the easiest way to find all my travel information, because that's where I post most of it. I also post stuff from Instagram on that page, as well as some stuff from Swarm. So be sure to check that out. And of course, the easiest way, in fact, to get all the information about For Borplum's Fantastic Finds, all the stories and more, is to go to the website For Borplum's Fantastic Finds. That's FABORPLUMBS, fantasticfinds.wordpress.com. Once again, we'd like to thank you for listening to the program tonight and look forward to seeing you again next week in the Thunderdome as we discuss the major issues in the world of modern auto racing. Have a great night, and we'll see you next week.